Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Yoder, and this is the Josh Yoder Show. Today, my guest is a blues rock musician named Rick Fowler. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
I'll tell you what, though, you've been having a couple busy weeks these past weeks, huh?
Yeah, really busy. We have a new album that's released by. It's actually an album that was recorded by on another label, and my band, Rick Fowler Band, we're signed to Strolling Bones Records, which is it's kind of a branch of New West Records, and at any rate, they wanted to re-release this album, and so they bought it from the old label. Because what happened was it came out in like I think 2008 or something like that, and it was starting to take off a little bit, and then the recession, was going on then, and all the investors pulled out of the label, and the label went bankrupt. So it was it was out of commission for a while, and so this new label has picked it up and re-released it, a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, so how old were these recordings when you decided to re-record?
They were recorded in around 2007, 2008.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
was still in high school during that time.
yeah, yeah.
No, man, I'm glad to see it because when I first heard about you was Infected with the Blues came on YouTube. So I went to check it out and I was like, wow, this is really good. So,
Thank you.
so yeah. And so it was a busy week trying to promote this album for you.
Yeah, we had an album release party in Athens, and lots of interviews, a lot of things, leading up to that. So I was pretty much wiped out, all week last weekend, but yeah, it's all good.
No, understandable. And like, what was the process like trying to get everything re recorded during this album?
Well, we didn't re-record it. They just remastered it, and like it's the same recording, but they it was not released on vinyl back then. It was only CD and download, and so this label they put all the stuff on vinyl as well, and so when you do vinyl, you have to remaster for vinyl, and so they did that, and uh, so it's the same record, but mastering process is a little different for vinyl, so they had to do that and get everything ready, and they changed the artwork a little bit.
No, it looks awesome. And was there any particular song that you're proud of when this coming album?
Uh, you know, uh, I wrote most of them, and I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I think the ones that are probably the most popular, "Infected with the Blues" and "Skeletons in My Closet" are probably the two most popular. I don't know that. I mean, to me, it's like I write them, and we record them, and you know, it's up to the people whether they like them or not. We hope they do.
Oh man, and it's amazing work, and I really love the song "Infected with the Blue." That's probably my favorite of your album.
Thank you.
And so, and I've actually been doing some research on your band as well. Well,
Mhm.
you guys been around since, and correct me if I'm wrong, since 1991.
No, no, that no, we weren't around that long. What happened is, like I said, when this album was first released, it was a solo album by me, and we used studio musicians. And the only one that's in my band now that played on it is the organist Tim White, and um, the two drummers Jerry Hansen and then Bill Berry from REM is one of the drummers on it, and then we have Randall Bramlett, who played with Stevie Winwood and everybody in the world, Bonnie Raitt, all these people. And so he's one of the guys. These are all buddies, and Michael Steele, uh, bass player, and he plays with Chuck Leavell, the keyboard player.
Okay.
And so, and I have another friend, Jonathan Dorsey, that's on there that wrote one song. It's Feel So Much Better. That's the song he wrote that's on the album. So I recorded that, and I think I covered everybody. My wife, Sherry, does a little bit of background vocal on there as well. So, but yeah, I mean, the album turned out great. These guys did a great job, and the label we were on then was a very good label, and they spent a ton of money. We recorded the album analog, which is another reason it sounds so good. 2-inch tape sounds better than digital, and but now it's not practical because the cost of the tape and the maintenance on the machines is ridiculously high. So it's like very few, only the elites get to use 2-inch tape anymore. It seems like.
No, it does feel that way. And going through your website, I got to see some of you mentioned some of the guys that you work with, like REM. They work for REM. Greg Allman. I mean, there's a lot of talent that they worked with.
Yeah. I mean, I've been lucky to. Now, I never actually played with Greg Allman, but we opened for him, and stuff like that. But I think the band you're thinking about, 1991, it could have been. We had a band called the Lonely White Boys, which was Buren Fowler from Driving and Crying, and Drew, the drummer from Dream So Real, and the bass player that's in my band now, Greg Veal. And so that band, it was probably 91, 92 when we were doing some stuff. And but yeah, this band was formed after this. The record, we put out the Goodfoot record. The original label put it out. It got great reviews, luckily, all over the world. All the top blues magazines and stuff. So I didn't have a regular band then. I was using these guys, and they played with me some live. But so that's the reason I formed the band I have now.
Yeah,
and we've been together ever since. So,
dude, that's awesome. And who were some of your influences when you were forming this band?
Well, I would say my influences mostly British blues rock and some American blues rock too, and like Johnny Winter and all the '70s British blues rock player Eric Clapton and Savoy Brown and I don't know, all these people like that. And you probably don't know half of them if you're young, but these are all the guys that I grew up listening to, and of course Eric Clapton, but yeah, I listened to those guys, and that was a huge influence on me style wise. And then lyrically, I have to say that probably Edgar Allan Poe is the biggest influence, which is odd, but
No, he's a very good writer, so I will say that. And
yeah.
Eric Clapton was my introduction to the blues, as well as the Blues Breakers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and the thing about the Poe thing is that I don't write horror songs, but I just love the way he writes. I love the way he phrases. I love the way he did phrase things, and it just I like the whole idea of being the character and writing the thing from the character's point of view. Like the song "Walk Softly" is written from the narrator, so to speak, and that song is a guy who was cheated on by his lover, and he's lying in wait to kill her when she comes home.
Oh, gee.
Well, that's pretty Poe-like, yeah. But
Oh no, he can get very dark in a lot of his stories, that's for sure.
yeah. So I kind of like the whole. What I kind of like to do is, I mean, I like the dark side of writing, but I also like to put some humor in there, so it's not too it's not depressing. It's got some humor to it, you know.
No, nothing wrong with that. I actually think it's necessary in a lot of songs nowadays. Like I think too many people like to write, too much similarities. It's nice to have a little humor in some of the things you write about.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's good to, I mean, I don't want anybody to get depressed listening to my record, but, and, the song Hellbound Train on that album, that's a cover song. That is a song that was originally recorded by Savoy Brown, which was one of my big influences. And I wanted to do that song, and it's, it's a really dark song, but, it's about this guy who he realizes too late, you know, he's on the train to hell, because he's been so wrong his whole life and all that. But I just like that atmosphere, creating that atmosphere, in the song.
Yeah, and also too, and one of the things I like about the blues is that a lot of musicians like take songs from back in the old days and cover them to show people like what they did in the past. So I always enjoyed that about the blues.
Yeah, yeah, and we have not done that too much. I mean, we got two more right now. Rick Fowler Band is what we're under now on the new albums, and we we got two albums fully recorded, and the label is going to release them. It's just a matter of timing, probably they'll probably start releasing them within a year, and then we're recording another record right now. We're in the middle of recording another album, and on that album, talking about what you're referring to, we are going to do a cover of a Johnny Winter song because Johnny Winter was a big influence.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the British blues. I also really enjoyed a Roy. I hope I said his last name right. Roy Gallagher.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I opened for him one time in a band in Cleveland. We were I was in a band called Fort Knox in the '80s, and we had kind of a hit, and we were on Epic Records, and we were touring, and when we played in Cleveland, I got a chance to open for Rory Gallagher with that band,
Wow.
and he was great, and I had this guitar that Dean. I don't know how much you know about Guitar Company, but Dean Guitar Company used to be a really high-end guitar company, and now they kind of just sold the name. They're still building some good stuff, but it's not, thought of like it used to be. But I had this Dean guitar that I bought from Dean himself at a NAM show, which is musical merchandise show, and uh, Rory Gallagher wanted to buy it from me, but I didn't want to sell it. It was a one of a kind at the time.
Oh, geez, and it's a shame he's no longer with us. He was such a great talent.
Oh, he was so talented. Yeah, all those guys. And the Thin Lizzy guys. They were all great, and Gary Moore, and all those guys. And they were influential to me as well.
Well, one of the guys I wish I could have met because he sadly passed away a month after I was born, believe it or not, was Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, yeah. I was on a tour in Germany and heard about that, and it was so depressing. I like Stevie Ray Vaughan a whole lot too.
Me too. I watched him live. Well, it was on a video, of course, but I watched him play live, and my mind still was blown of how amazing he was.
Oh, he was amazing. Yeah, there's so many that are amazing, and it's like, I look up to all these guys, and I don't, I wish I could do all the stuff they did, but I don't have that much talent.
Well, I mean, I love history, and like getting to learn about. This is just my humble opinion, of course, but I think the blues is an underrated genre, and so many talented people. And I remember reading here on your website, you got to work with the Beverly Guitar Wilkins.
Oh yeah, Beverly Guitar Watkins. Yeah, we did a whole bunch of shows with her, and what we do is my band would open the show, and then we'd bring her out, and we'd back her up, and she was such a sweetheart. She was a wonderful woman and a great talent. And you know, she got pretty well known in the blues circle. She's not a you know, a household name to most people, but a lot of people in the blues like her. I mean, she toured the world several times, I think, most of it. And we weren't with her when she did that. We only did shows around the Athens area, you know, Athens, Georgia area, and with her, because every time she come here, and we do go to some other towns, but we never got to tour with her or anything. Because she, by the time we played with her, she was already almost 80, you know, something like 78, you know, something like that.
Oh, bless her heart. But I mean, it's an amazing career. Have you, and you might be surprised I know some of these names, but have you ever got to work with, you know, BB or Freddie or Albert King?
No, I would love to have gotten that chance, but no, I'm a big admirer of all of them.
Yeah. Another guy that I thought was, wish I got to see more of, because I only got BB King late when he was much older when I first saw him.
Hmm.
And then I also really enjoyed guys like Lonnie Mack.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's another great one. And you know, I also have to say that BB was an influence on me because the thing that I like about players like BB was that he wasn't trying to show off everything all the time. He was feeling the blues, and I think nowadays, I mean, there's some amazing players out there, but I think some of them are losing the spirit of the blues because it's not about, you know, flash. I mean, it's not like it kind of reminds me of American Idol what they're doing because you know, in American Idol, the contestants get up there and they sing for 2 minutes and they just over sing, just blast it out and wail, you know, hard as they can go, but they don't have any subtlety about it because they're just trying to win a competition. And I think a lot of, especially guitar players now, are that way. It's like, you know, you don't have to be, you know, playing a million miles an hour all the time. I mean, just lay back, let the blues soak in, you know, because to me, blues is about trying to make the audience feel a certain way, you know, feel the song. You know, you set the atmosphere for the song musically, and you want them to feel what you're trying to convey, you know. And I'm not trying to convey me, you know, playing a million notes, and I don't care if they're impressed with my guitar playing. I just want them to feel the song. You know, that's what I'm saying.
No, no, I totally understand where you're coming from because when I see some of like the old stuff too, you know, like I don't mind some of the new stuff, but when I look at
Yeah,
back at some of the old stuff, like a BB King and even
yeah,
Stevie, they would play like a nice simple riff and then they
yeah.
would go into it and then they would settle it back down and then go back toward it again.
Yeah, Stevie Ray was very good about that, and of course BB was always good about that. So, yeah, I think some of that has gotten lost in flash, you know. And on this record, I didn't want to make it that way. I mean, we there are a lot of solos on there and everything, but you know, I wanted it to be the song and the feeling, you know, and not hey, look at me, you know.
Yeah, no, nothing wrong with that because if you look at the history of the blues, a lot of songs are just simple and straight to the point.
Yeah, yeah, they are, you know, and so I don't know. That's just my approach, right or wrong. You
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And if you don't mind me asking, has there been any other cool blues people you got to work with throughout your career?
know. Well, I don't know. Uh, uh, Tinsley Ellis is a real good friend of ours. I don't know. No, he's not, again, not a household word, but he's really well known in the blues world. And you know, I've known Tinsley since, you know, the '80s. You know, and we've been friends for a long time. And you know, we've we jammed together and stuff like that. but he's one that I really enjoy working with. He's a super nice guy.
Dude, that's awesome. And how many years now has it been since you started playing the blues?
Well, I I was in these rock bands when I out of high school, and during high school and when I graduated, and we were like cover bands doing Stones and Beatles and whatever, that kind of stuff for the sick and some soul stuff or whatever. But we got this older guy in the band, and his name is Harl, Harl, not Harold, but Harl Baggett, and I don't know. I guess he named himself that, but he and he's the one that wrote the song "Back on My Good Foot," and we've remained friends for years. Although I haven't seen him in years because he lives about 120 miles from me now. But and he's the kind of guy he doesn't really care about a musical career. He likes to play, but he likes to be left alone. He's more like, I don't want to get in the fray of it all. But and so he said, yeah, you can do any of my tunes, and we wrote some stuff together too. But and Back on My Good Foot is one of the songs he wrote. But he had a motorcycle wreck when he was young and lost a leg, so he only has one foot. So
Oh, geez.
yeah, I guess, but I don't think that inspired the song. I think it's just he's a great guy, and it just didn't like it didn't bother him that much. I mean, he's just got the kind of person. He's just so laid back. He was you know on the crutches, running around. Like as soon as he got out of the hospital, he was ready to play again. And we played a lot of gigs back then, but they were not big gigs. They were just clubs and stuff. But he's kind of a mentor to me. He got me started in blues. He's the one that he got into one of those bands with me in the '70s, and he's like, hey, look, listen to this, listen to that, and he made me realize that most of the rock music then was blues based, and so guitar playing was blues based, and so that's because if you listen to it, even like Pink Floyd, you listen to what Gilmore, who's one of my favorites, is playing, and he's basically playing straight blues licks against a non-blues background of music.
No, I agree with that because I came from growing up listening to rock and metal through my dad, and
Yeah,
I found out that a lot of people were like say for example Ozzy Osbourne, who no
yeah,
longer with us. A lot of people are like, how comes metal singers don't sing like Ozzy? And I tell them it's because Ozzy never sang like a metal guy. He sang like a blues guy.
yeah, he did. Yeah, and all the old, like the Animals and all the old British bands. I mean, that's where that was their influence. Was American blues mostly. Like black blues singers. So I mean, that's where they got it from, and they brought it back across the ocean and made it popular here. Because for a long time it was just people in America considered it. Well, it's black music, and white people don't listen to black music. That kind of attitude, which is terrible, but it's true. And then the British guys brought it back over here, and like the Rolling Stones and all those, they would get these old blues guys and insist that if we're going to play the show, you're going to have this guy, open for us or something. And they brought out, these old guys like John Lee Hooker and stuff. They, force the venue to let them play, and they expose all these old guys to an American audience
Yeah,
outside of the blues circles.
Yeah, and to me personally, I always enjoy the blues because it feels like it's like a working man's like music,
Yeah,
and it's just so relaxing to listen to. So I'm surprised more and more people don't listen to it nowadays.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Everything changes, and you know, there. It is surprising though. A lot of young guitar players are into it. That's good. So they're going to keep it alive. And um, you see young. I mean, in Athens, it's a music town, so you see all these kids that are. I mean, they're playing blues licks and stuff, and they're playing, Led Zeppelin and whatever, classic rock, which is blues based. Classic rock is almost always blues based.
No, indeed, and also a guy that I like listening to, and he's actually the reason I bumped into listening to you guys was a guy named hope I say it right, Joe Bonamassa.
Oh yeah, Joe Bonamont. He's a great guitar player. Yeah, he is.
So
Yeah.
he was. I saw a video of him when he was like 11, and he was absolutely
Mhm.
shredding.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a shredder. Yeah, and he had a famous guitar teacher. I forget his guitar teacher was a famous guitar player. I forget who it was now, but yeah. So he had a good start with that guy.
Yeah, and also another guy I like listening to is Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, no, I first heard him. I think it was kind of similar to you. I just saw there was a video of him. It was called "The Healing." It was really good.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, there's so many great ones out there now. And YouTube has really helped people get better as guitar players. I mean, um, because until that was available, you had to buy guitar books and take private guitar lessons, and it still is good to do that. But I I never. I'm pretty much. I mean, I went in college. I was a music major, but um, not on guitar. I mean, they didn't teach guitar there then, and but so I'm pretty much self-taught. I mean, I know the theory from being a music major, but I never had really a guitar teacher, and I just had to work on it longer. But I think I'd be a whole lot better had I had YouTube or had a good guitar teacher back then.
Well, to be fair though, like I have this book that I'm reading and I really enjoy. It's called Blues Who's Who,
Hmm.
and the vast majority of blues legends that I've been reading about, they've all been self-taught.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Most have, and I think it's good to know the theory, and but at the same time, the blues stuff, it's all about feel. And I know people that, are great with the theory and they can play fast licks and stuff, but they don't seem to grasp the feel. And you have to have a little of each, I think, to really make it work super well. Not necessarily. I mean, there's some great self-taught ones that are, you know, became incredible players, but it helps to have a little of each.
No, I agree with that. And plus, also, do you think it also like some of these guys they're able to really show who they were because they were self-taught?
I think so. That's a good point because one thing about it is you you develop your own style. And one time I was in a band that opened for John Hartford. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's kind of an old he's an old guy that was around. He was pretty big. He was great. He was fantastic. But one of the things I heard him say that made me feel better at the time. I was pretty young and kind of, oh well, I'm not as good as this guy, not as good as that guy. But he was saying your limitations is is what gives you your style. I mean, if you had no limitations, you'd be able to play amazing scales and whatever, but you wouldn't really develop a style. So I think, yeah, I think you got a good point there that I mean, these people were limited to what they could teach themselves or pick up from listening to other people. And, those limitations created their style.
Yeah, and I myself, I'm a writer, and so
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I've learned. And I wonder if it's the same when it comes to like writing lyrics as well as playing notes on guitar or keyboard or even the harmonica.
I would think it would be, yeah.
But with you having such a long career, has there been any fun moments that come to mind to you during your time?
Yeah, I mean, of course, in the '80s, it was always a blast to do the big, Coliseum shows like opening for Aerosmith and people like that. It was always fun because a huge crowd, and you know, uh, now it's fun because we headline most shows. I mean, we're not headlining big, super big venues, but we're headlining decent sized venues, and people are enjoying our original music, and that just makes you feel really, really good. I mean, I'm not. I got friends that make a lot of money in tribute bands, and they tour all the time, and they make a lot of money playing in tribute bands. But it's just not for me because I don't know. I mean, if they're clapping for a Led Zeppelin tribute band, they're really clapping because they like the Led Zeppelin song, and you're imitating it pretty well, but imitating the band pretty well. But I just feel like as an artist, as a musical artist, I think that I just like it when people appreciate, the music I write and the band creates. It just makes me feel better.
No, and that's fair. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like giving tribute to people that influence you or you love, but it's
Oh,
also yeah, it's also the good to have something for you.
yeah, 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 that's right. Uh, there's a song. It's not released. It'll be out on another album. The album title's RFB, and it's one of the ones that we already recorded. And I pay tribute to Rod Serling. It's a song called Willoughby, and it's about the episode. I think the episode's called Next Stop Willoughby, and so it's my favorite Twilight Zone episode, and turned out it was his favorite Twilight Zone episode. But it's just so well done.
Oh, geez, Twilight Zone. I haven't seen that
Yeah.
in forever.
You're probably too young to watch. I mean, I'm watching reruns of it, But I guess it was really before my heyday too. But it's nevertheless it was such a there was some cheese to it because they didn't have the budget and the technology to do a lot of special effects well. But it was just such a brilliant show. It was kind of like Alfred Hitchcock, just the creativity involved was to me super impressive, and the acting, a lot of the acting was great, and I'm assuming you being a writer, I would feel that way about writing. I mean, I've written a couple of books, but I would feel that way. Are you a fiction writer?
I write anything. I've written lyrics, poems, and I'm working on writing on short stories and stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
So
I
yeah,
never have written any fiction, but I have Tourette syndrome, and I got involved in trying to do uh, support, for the Tourette Association and the Canadian um, Tourette group, and the whole band. We went up and played in Montreal, and I played in New York and DC a lot for the Tourette folks, and um, but I wrote a couple of books about that, and I made a documentary. But um, that's the only writing I've ever done. I don't have the ability to write good fiction.
well, all we can do is try our best, and also,
Yeah,
like you said, for have influences. And I
yeah.
read about that too, and I was a little nervous to ask you, but you said about Tourette's. It's like, How does that, in your mind, like, does it make you feel good trying to sing and like write about stuff like that?
Well, I don't think it's influenced my writing. Excuse me. Music, I don't think it's influenced my musical writing, but you know, it's just part of who I am, and I think, you know, I'd probably be a better musician if I didn't have the ticks and was able to, practice more and more and more without ticks, uh, but then on the other hand, they do influence my playing whether I want it to or not, and some of the style that you hear, I think it's kind of like it comes from the internal feeling, you know, premonitory urges, they call it, before a tick. And so if you'll notice some of my guitar parts, I kind of do jerky parts on purpose, and like on Infected with the Blues. And I think that a lot of that style comes from the way Tourette's feels in some way. You know?
Yeah, but I think it also, like we talked about before, with when it comes to the blues, it just expresses yourself and just makes it more real.
Yeah, it makes it more real. And for me, it's like I am what I am, and you either like it or not. I mean, I can't do anything about that. So, yeah, I think it probably has influenced me musically, but in other words, I've never written a song about it. Or anything. I don't have any. Infected with the Blues is not about Tourette's. It's just about, you know, it's kind of a Poe-like song too because it's from the infected person's point of view, and that all my songs are they're not about me. They're about characters.
Well, I think that's pretty cool, though, personally, though, because a lot of times people just, I mean, nothing wrong with that either. They use their personal lives for songs, but people
Yeah,
like sometimes like to use movies or like cartoons.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
And so I think it's really cool that you're doing that. And especially, I mean, you can't go wrong with Edgar Allan Poe, of course.
Yeah, in my book, it can, and like there are a lot of great writers out there, and you probably know more of them than I do, and but I think that just the way he would like write it from the character's point of view, and the character was often the bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And he definitely influential. So I think it's pretty cool to see you use that as an influence as to write your songs.
Well, a lot of the characters in my songs are very troubled people, like like walk softly. It's about a guy who's going to kill somebody. So, I have a couple of murdering songs, but you know, people got to realize it's not me; it's the character in the story.
You're inspired by an author.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's really cool though that you're able to do that. And I just, as someone who also struggles with a bit of a disability too, I think it's really cool to hear that you're using that to inspire yourself and not letting you hold yourself back, you know.
No, you can't do that. I mean, you can't let it define you. You can't let a disability define you. And there are a lot of musicians, and there was there are professional baseball players and stuff with Tourette's, and um, it's like yeah, Jim Eisenreich. I met him, and he has Tourette's, and he had a big career in baseball. So um, I don't know, it's like it can't define you. You just gotta say, hey, it's there. It's part of me, but I've, I've got a life to live. I can't sit around and let this hold me back.
No, absolutely. And much respect to you, sir, for what you've been doing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, with that being said, sir, before we head out here, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Well, the new album, I guess, is the album's called Back on My Good Foot, and it's available everywhere. And you can get it on vinyl, CD, or download. and it's on Spotify and all that. So yeah, I mean, the radio airplay's picking up. We're getting a lot of really good reviews. You know, particularly in the Netherlands and Italy, and you know, we're getting it's starting to get out there. I mean, it's new. This version of it is new, and so you know, it's starting to hopefully keep taking off, and you know, maybe we'll be touring and be up your way sometime. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And and thank you again so much for coming on my show. And I hope and pray nothing but the best for you and your band.
Well, thank you so much, and likewise, I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, sir. And for all of you watching, I love you all, and God bless. Be safe, everybody.